Our theme this month is pitching it closer for more pars and birdies. So in this presentation, we'll be looking at what a pitch shot is, some technique fundamentals and what the best do in their technique, and then finishing off looking at some drills and games that you can practice to improve your pitching. So what is a pitch shot? Well, in broad terms, it's a shot that's around 30 to 50 yards, although this will differ depending on you as a player. Typically, a pitch shot will spend more time in the air than it does on the ground, and it will fly higher than a chip. So this lends itself to be used when we need to carry a hazard or produce accuracy over a range of distances when we're approaching the green from 30 to 50 yards. Now, looking at what the best players in the world do with their pitch shots, firstly, they consistently launch their pitch shots at around 30 to 35 degrees, and they're able to control their distances using any club from a 46 to a 60-degree wedge. But crucially, they're able to play a variety of shots with one wedge. And the way they do this is because they are able to produce quality contact time and time again. So fundamental to pitching is a quality contact. And this means allowing your technique for the club to approach and hit the ground at the correct angle so that the ball will make contact with the club face in the correct place. So think about a planned landing. It needs to come down at just the right angle to make that smooth landing. Too steep and the nose will dive into the ground. Not steep enough and the back of the plane will hit the ground too early. Now, if you can get this quality contact, you'll then be able to control distance, trajectory and spin. Now, in terms of technique for setting up, there are certain things that you need to have in place which will then encourage the quality contact. So firstly, club selection. Now this will depend on your preference, but bear in mind that the more loft you have, the more options. For example, if you use a 9-iron all the time as your preferred club, this will be fine in most situations, but if you do need it to get some loft on the shot or to get the ball to stop quickly, it's going to be quite limiting. Whereas if you can choose a pitching wedge or a sand wedge, something around 56 degrees, then you'll have more options available to you to play the higher shot if you need it, but also the one that comes out on a slightly flatter trajectory. Now, in terms of setup, typically we want to have a narrow stance with the weight slightly on the lead side and the sternum over the ball. The shaft will be quite neutral, so that means not leaning too much towards the target or away from the target, but if anything, we want it ever so slightly leaning towards the target. So an easy way to check this is to use a mirror. So stand in front of a mirror, face on, and look for those points that we just discussed. How wide is your stance? Where's your ball position in relation to your sternum? And then how does the handle of the club look to you at setup? Once you've achieved this setup, you can look at your motion. Now, the best players in the world, as we said previously, their individual techniques can differ slightly, but there are certain fundamentals that they have in place to ensure that they get the quality contact that they really need. And in terms of their motion, they have one which is largely controlled by the chest and one where they're able to change their length of swing according to the speed that they need and the distance that they need. So let's look at a couple of examples here. So on the left we've got Tiger Woods. Now if we look at his setup and what we just discussed that we want to see, so the red line will show that the ball at address is directly under his sternum. It's got a narrower stance than what you'd see for a full swing, and his weight slightly favouring his left side. Now in terms of the swing, see, this is a fairly full pitch shot that he's playing, but you can still see that the club is stopping short of a typical full swing. And you can see how well his chest is turning through the ball. When he gets to just post impact, you can see that he's opening up his chest towards the target. And then if we look at another player here on the right hand side, this is another European Tour player. Set up fairly similar, so you can see the red line showing that the ball is directly underneath his sternum. If we draw the yellow line, you can see that the handle of his club is slightly leaning towards a target, but not excessively. And now he's playing a slightly shorter pitch shot than what Tiger is, so he's not taking the club as far back. But on the way through, he's still clearing his chest so that it's facing the target when he comes through. So a couple of really nice examples there of two really good pictures of the ball. Now, these technique fundamentals will help you to build a stock pitch shot, but you then need to be able to adapt it to the demands of the environment in order to build a score. And this means practicing in a way which improves your judgment, your shot selection, club selection, and also where you practice your visualization. Now, in order to do that, you need to make sure that when you go to the range, you have a little bit of structure and you're not just hitting the same shot over and over again. So the next section of the presentation gives you a few ideas of games that you can play to improve your ability to adapt to the demands of the environment or the golf course. So the first one is a ladder. This is really good for improving distance control. Now you can see the setup here, but the important thing is that you're practicing pitching to different distances and you're aware of the length of the swing that you're putting on each pitch shot. I won't take you through all the details, but there'll be a PDF that you'll be able to download in line with this document so that you can refer to the games at your convenience. The next game, 30 to 50 yards, and this one's starting from 30 yards. You're going to try and pitch to a given target. Then each time you're successful, move back 5 yards. To make it more difficult, you can add some pressure. So if you miss, start again. Now the crossbar challenge, this is a good one because if you remember originally we said that tour players are launching their pitch shots at around 30 to 35 degrees. So if you set yourself up a gate using 2 alignment poles and some foam tubing, you can practice pitching trying to hit the crossbar so that you know that you're launching your pitches at the correct angle. Final game is to improve your performance under pressure. So set yourself out a target and then from 30 yards, try to pitch as many shots as possible in a row into the target, and the game ends when you miss. So hopefully this presentation has given you a few ideas as to what a pitch shot is to start off with, when you'd use it, and then what technique fundamentals you need to get to be able to build a repeatable and consistent strike. But ask yourself some of these questions to determine how good your pitching actually is. So how many shots does it take you to get down from 30 to 50 yards? How does your pitching compare to those in the same handicap category or to those in the lower handicap category? Do you have a preferred club to pitch with? Do you have a system to control your yardage? And then how do you actually practice your pitching? If you're unsure about any of the questions or you don't know the answer to them, then reach out, get in touch with the academy team, and we can start to put some programs and systems in place to help you pitch it closer for more par and birdie chances.